So this is Ragweed's message to us. Your deepest desire lives forever close to a quiet pool of pain. Your deepest desire lives forever close to a quiet pool of pain. You cannot reach for what you want without trespassing upon these waters. Stand there with your keen desire and let the mists rise up around you. The laden air is hungry for your song. So shortly after my early morning practice, I had a call with a client, and our conversation brought up some pain in me. And this poem reminded me, as you know, I remind all of us all the time in soul coaching, that the pain is as sacred as the beauty, as the joy. And I love how she says here, your deepest desire lives forever close to a quiet pool of pain. We wouldn't really expect that, maybe. We'd think, okay, if it's my deepest desire, the closer I get, the more joy there's going to be, the more brightness, the more clarity. That's not what I found in my own journey. And obviously, it's not what dear Andrea has found either, and many other teachers that I've read and sat with. So your deepest desire lives forever close to a quiet pool of pain. And I don't know exactly what that pain is, maybe something akin to being separated from our true being. That's painful. It's painful to live moments in our lives not really connected to our true being. I recognized that the first time that I saw soul coming through eyes, well, maybe not that I saw it, but that I recognized it in my son. And in that moment, it was very painful to realize that I was not living from that place. To see that purity in his eyes reminded me that I wasn't living from that place. So, and it also lit this desire to find my way back to living from that place. She says, you cannot reach for what you want without trespassing upon these waters. So you cannot touch into your deepest desire, your most authentic expression, without going across these waters that could be painful and will likely be painful at times. But then she says, stand there with your keen desire. So be still and be connected to this deep desire you have for sanity, for beauty, for authentic expression, for whatever it is that you desire, for love, for truth. Stand there and then let the mists rise up around you. The laden air is hungry for your song. It's that the world is hungry for your song, needs your song. Yeah, I guess some of the conversations around dinner seem to touch upon this subject as well. How we do anything to avoid pain. And there are so many possibilities for how we can do that in our day and age. And it's all fine. It doesn't really ultimately matter what we do. But for those of us who are in touch with this desire, to live from our clearest being. The stronger that desire gets, at least that's been my experience, the less willing we are to bypass, those things that seem to be in the way, but that we at some point have the gift of recognizing that they might be the way. That just being still, as she says, standing there in the midst of what's arising. And I think that perhaps this is one of the reasons why it becomes very difficult to settle in meditation, because the being is so oriented to avoiding pain. And there's so much mental activity and resistance that can show up because there is just this great program that is written in many of our beings to avoid pain at all costs. And of course, we don't go looking for pain in order to find treasure. We don't need to do that. Life brings us, each one of us, our share in whatever form. Personally, I love being reminded by other sincere souls to just stop, to be still, regardless of what's arising, and to make space for the pain. If you look at that word, pain, what it is, it's describing some kind of discomfort. Maybe it's a discomfort in the mind, some kind of uncomfortable thought. But if we look deeper, we'll notice that it also comes along with discomfort in the body. And so let us drop into the arms of Mother Earth on this beautiful land and let her help us to come more fully into these beautiful bodies that are traveling with our souls in this lifetime, like a sacred marriage. Feel your buttocks on the earth, your feet, and feel the body expanding into the space around you with every inhale. Allow the senses to come online, hearing the trickling water, perhaps the sound of wind or a bird. Any smells wafting through the air around you, coming in on a breeze. The taste of remnants of dinner on your tongue. And there it is. When you settle into the body, it's quite clear that certain parts of the body feel perhaps more relaxed, more comfortable, more at ease, maybe even a kind of a melting or a softening or a relaxation. And other parts of the body, not so much. And we have access to this kind of global listening, global awareness that has space for both, has space for everything along the spectrum between pain and pleasure. And the truth is that even pleasure becomes painful because when we feel it, we want to grasp it. We want to squeeze it and hold it so tight that we literally squeeze the life out of it. And that's often the cycle between pleasure and pain. Pleasure held on to becomes pain. And pain felt deeply becomes pleasure. But don't take my word for it. It's such a blessing to be here together. In a place where there is actually an invitation and an encouragement to be with our whole experience just as it is. It's very rare that we're in environments that encourage this. And perhaps you already notice a difference in the inner atmosphere of your being, as I am. It feels more welcoming, more spacious. Those tight places are taking tentative steps towards relaxing. It might feel like they relax and they contract again, and they relax and they contract again, but there's some movement there. It's like the body is trying on greater ease, greater states of allowing things to be as they are. And I really encourage you as you practice this openness to the whole pain pleasure spectrum. I encourage you to reside as close to the heart as possible. So to let the central point of awareness to settle deeply in the heart. And then from that place to send out antenna of awareness to bring presence to your being. The heart holds no prejudice against pain. Unlike the mind. So as you take up residence in the heart and you open more and more to the totality of your being and all that that includes, like an ever increasing bubble of spacious, open, aware, bright presence. And not only does it expand outwards in all directions, but it seems to also simultaneously go more and more deeply into the marrow of the bones, into the deepest depths of each cell, into the yawning chasms of dark space of the energy field. Into all of the nooks and crannies of your being. The radiant presence of the heart calls all of it back home. You need to find out for yourself, but many have found that the painful places, when open to in such a way, are bringing parts of your soul back online as they awaken, as they're liberated, as they come back into your fuller and fuller expression. So I suppose I would invite you now to just check in with your being and to notice if there's any place in your being, and use your body to hone in on this, where there might be a pain that wants to be included in this shared experience. Maybe it's one that you were aware of even before you came here this evening, or maybe it's something that's just popping up right now. But do your best not to think about it too much. And more than anything, just drop into the body to where that story is connecting to an energetic, frozen quality, you could say, an energetic freezing that might have occurred a long time ago. Our life force wants to pour into. And it's in the feeling and allowing that opens up these areas so that they, in a sense, they melt like ice. And that life force can then enter into and through. And you may experience for yourself that when the energy is pulled away from resisting pain or from dancing around pain or from telling stories about pain, there's a natural falling into greater sense of presence. Because when we're not engaging with the details and we're just letting go of control, it's just natural that we fall into what we are, which is pure presence, operating through this particular body mind at this particular time. And when you do begin to sense this peaceful and nourishing state of presence that you are, don't get bored with it. Just even if the boredom comes, the mind will want to jump in and move on to things that are a little bit more uh, enticing or activating. But just allow yourself to rest in the sense of this presence. There's a feeling to it. And then it will begin to draw you in more and more deeply. To absorb you, you could say. Until you disappears or at least fades into the background. And in this place, there is no difference between you and me, between you and the trees, the water, the birds, or the sky. And how did we get here? Through pain. Perhaps you notice that the initial pain portal that you entered in through has disappeared or faded into the background or become lighter. So for the next few moments, we're going to sit in silence. And I encourage you to explore allowing your being to stay open to the whole pain, pleasure spectrum, not making one more desirable than the other. While remaining rooted in the home of your greatest soul's desires, which resides in your heart. And let yourself be immersed in the sense of it, the feel of it. Notice that it has a nourishing quality. Sometimes it's almost like your system has been plugged into some source of Shakti,